Hello, this is ASAP_artist or Z_artist. If we go to the same school, probably know my real name. And today I'll be talking about favourite characters. I've been kind of waiting to do this for a while now. I thought now would be the right time to do it. So I suppose let's begin. I'm going to start by talking about kind of two characters which are kind of like, I feel as if they're the most similar in the kind of comic book universes, and they're from different universes. We've got Thanos, who is kind of the a bit of a nutter, wants to kill half the universe and all that kind of blah blah blah. And we've got Dr. Manhattan, who doesn't really care whether he's good or bad or not, I suppose, and is again just as a threat, much of a threat as Thanos. I want to say that I'll be doing this every Wednesday, a different topic hopefully, or maybe a similar topic, and that before we kind of start the whole video, there's a few terms I want to get kind of straight because, well, this is going to be important for us. You know, the I part, we've got omnipotent, omniscient, and omnipresent. I'm not sure if you can see that or not, but those are the three that kind of like major O's. Like, these are very important O's. The nice part are important for later because they kind of explain these guys' powers. But I want to make it very clear, there are kind of rules for omnipotence and omniscience and omnipresence. The rule for omnipotence is that pretty much nobody is stronger than you. I mean that nobody has more power than you, no object has more power than you. You're not omnipotent if there's somebody above you, in other words. Let's say you've got unlimited power, but there's a being that's stronger than you, then you're not omnipotent, you just have unlimited power. Also, I want to make it very clear, you're not omnipotent if you acquire an item to give you that omnipotence, if that doesn't make sense, but it kind of does. If you've got an item that gives you unlimited power, you're not omnipotent, because the moment you lose that item, you're not going to be omnipotent. It's acquired. Hence, I use the word here, non-omnipotent, because a lot of these characters rather have acquired, well, the characters that we're talking about now have acquired omnipotence, or their power seems limitless, but there's a being above them that's stronger. Then we've got omniscient, sorry. Now, omniscience is the same kind of concept. If you know everything, then nobody's smarter than you. Nobody, even someone that claims to be omnipotent, is not smarter than you because you know everything there is already. If you need to, I don't know, think about something, you're not omniscient. If you need to go and read up about something, you're not omniscient. If something happens and you don't know it's happened, you're not omniscient. Omniscient literally means all-knowing. Nothing happens that you don't know about. Okay? And then we've got omnipresent, which means you're everywhere. Pretty much, people get these confused, but they are very similar, because if you're omnipresent, you are somewhat omniscient. If you're omnipresent, you're going to be nigh omniscient, as you have seen everything happen. If you know what I mean, like you're everywhere in the universe. However, if there's a point in time where you're not everywhere in the universe, you are not omnipresent. So that's pretty much the three major O's. I want to declare now that this guy is nigh omnipotent, nigh omniscient, and nigh omnipresent. And despite this guy here having the infinity gauntlet, the same rules apply. He is nigh omnipotent, nigh omniscient, and nigh omnipresent. What does this mean for the outcome in battle? This means two things here. This means that no matter what, we can assume until the battle's over, these guys are equals. And also, number two, there's not going to be no cheap tricks like going into the future and killing somebody there or disappearing completely from the battle because, well, that's kind of cheating. I'm going to start by explaining Thanos a bit more. So, I kind of got a bit of a diagram here of the Infinity Stones. They're not accurate, the Infinity Stones are not in the right place, I know this. But those are all the Infinity Stones. Time, space, soul, mind, power, and reality. When the kind of owner gets all these things together, they get infinite control over these aspects. Time, individually, they kind of are still pretty powerful. Time, for instance, allows a person to see their future and their past and travel through time, which is pretty helpful. They can open portals to travel to another area of time and so on. Pretty helpful. The Space Stone allows a person complete control over the space pretty much space in general. So they have control over everything pretty much. They can be everywhere and nowhere, if you know what I mean. They can be everywhere in the universe, and at the same time they can be nowhere in the universe. That's confusing in itself, I'm not going to explain that. So, allows them complete control over the dead. This kind of helps them to stop them from losing the Infinity Gauntlet, I suppose, but that only works in Endgame. I don't think in the Infinity War comic book it actually works. You've got the mind, which gives them enough psychic power to be kind of, well, very, very powerful psychically. Like, they're pretty much the best telepath you could think of. The Power Stone allows them all control over power that has existed and will exist. They can absorb power, take away superpowers and all that type of stuff. The Reality Stone allows the person complete control over reality. Now, there are Infinity Stones, but the Infinity Stones, I repeat, does not make the person the 3 O's. Omnipotent, omnipresent, or omniscient. Far from it. And here's why. Imagine we've got a line, as I've drawn down here. A line can have infinite length. A line can have a length that goes down to billions and billions and billions of centimeters, meters, or whatever. However, it can also have 0 area, meaning that it's infinite in length, but its area is nothing. Same with a square, it has infinite area, but 0 volume. And as we add a dimension, as this is the first dimension, the second dimension, the third dimension, the fourth dimension, there's always another layer to add on to something to make it not infinite. So what's my point I'm trying to get here? Well, these are pretty handy in the Marvel Universe, especially in the universe they come from. I'm going to get to that in a moment as well, the Lords of the Infinity Stones. However, they're only helpful in a number of dimensions. And we've seen this in comic books. We've seen this in Infinity War when we get Adam Warlock, his evil twin, another guy called, I forget his name, but he's like an evil twin or whatever. He wields an Infinity Gauntlet and tries to use it against the Living Tribunal. And that doesn't really go well. I'm not going to get in too far. But why is that? Because the Living Tribunal is like he's a guy who sees everything in limitless dimensions. In reality, the Infinity Gauntlet only works around the 6th or 5th dimension, typically because the people using it are 6th and 5th dimensional beings. Put them against somebody like the one above all or a bit lower, Darkseid, this kind of gauntlet doesn't work because Darkseid himself is pan-dimensional. He's got limitless dimensions. So that's kind of explained kind of Thanos' most powerful weapon he's got in this battle. Obviously he's got superhuman strength, he's got superhuman speed, he's a genius, like Tony Stark genius, but overall, that is his most dangerous weapon. He's wielded other stuff, like the Cosmic Cube, the heart of the universe, but to be honest with you, I think these are the most powerful weapons he can use, and using the heart of the universe is kind of a cheat in this battle. So the next contestant is Dr. Manhattan. Turning this the wrong way, give me a moment. Okay, so we've got a few stuff here. If I turn this on for you guys to kind of have a look. Here is Dr. Manhattan. Now, to understand Dr. Manhattan, we've got to understand his origin story. In a nutshell, he was Dr. Osterman. He went into like this kind of intrinsic field generator. It removed all the basic forces holding them together. Not just the basic ones, all forces that held him together. And it destroyed him. But it didn't kill him. His conscience still lived in some sort of state that's above the universe. That's one thing very important for later on. So because it's above the universe, he was able to reconstruct his body, see through time. He was able to control time and manipulate time. And well, before recently, when I read Doomsday Clock, I thought it was only his time. However, it turns out he can kind of, as long as he focuses on like an object, he can also look at that object's timeline. In Watchmen, for instance, he looks at this guy's timeline and he sees all the futures. He realizes he's going to die in a few years. And it's like, wow, he's pretty amazing. Now his superpowers are pretty much, again, he's a chronokinetic. He's got godlike strength. Like if there was like superhuman strength, there's super god strength as well. He's got super god strength. He is very, very strong. He's got complete manipulation over matter, energy, time, as I said before, space. Like if you want to think of Infinity Stones all put together into some sort of beam, that actually did happen. But this guy would kind of be them, except from he's not them. A few weaknesses I like to point out. I don't think they're going to kind of change the course of the battle, but it's good to mention. I kind of did that with Thanos as well. Weirdly enough, we don't know if he's a telepath or not, which is kind of good and bad. Because while we've never seen him be affected by a telepathic attack, he is easily manipulated, I think. Despite the fact that we think he's almost omniscient, which he isn't. He's just kind of a very, very smart dude who can be everywhere in the universe at once. But yeah, he has been tricked before. We don't know if telepathy would work or not. And I'll explain why in my next kind of, when they kind of fight diagram thing. Also, tachyons, which are like these theoretic particles which travel faster than the speed of light, whatever, they kind of have an effect on him. We don't know why, they just do. They blur his ability to see kind of time simultaneously. But even without that, he's still a very difficult character. Same with EMPs, apparently they also do the same thing. Now, we've kind of gone over all of this guy's strengths and do-nots and kind of don'ts. I want to say very quickly that this guy beat a 5th dimensional imp, which means that he is definitely above the 5th dimension. Reading the most recent comic book known as Doomsday Clock, he travels across the multiverse, meaning that he's probably, unlike Thanos, isn't stuck to using his powers in the universe. I'd like to mention talk about Thanos. I'll go back and mention Thanos again, as these guys are contestants. Now, I want to say, the Infinity Gauntlet has rules. That's one thing I forgot to mention. Now, the rules are pretty straightforward. Number one, you cannot wish the Infinity Gauntlet out of existence. So in the end game, when he was like, I destroyed the stones, you didn't. It's impossible. You can't do it. Also, depending on what universe you are in, you can't actually use the Infinity Gauntlet unless you're in your home universe. So let's say this is the the Gauntlet's home universe, and we are here. You're the most powerful person ever. You're pretty good. When you're there, you're nothing, pretty much, because the Infinity Gauntlet doesn't work. It's like using your TV remote on a different TV. Now, that is important for the upcoming battle. But now we're going to put this fight to the test. Can you see everything? Yeah, still. Comic book-ish, right? That's good enough. Now we're going to kind of sketch out this battle. We're going to start by kind of sketching the bodies of the person. Obviously, this is a rough sketch. This is not how I draw. I'm pretty good at drawing, in fact. We've got Thanos. Now, I've drawn two things in this. I've drawn the body, which is kind of outlined as a circle. And then we've got the mind. And the mind is just as important, in this case, is important for the battle. I want you to realize that the mind is still in the box, the universe, where this battle was set. They could travel anywhere in the universe they want. They can't go outside of the universe, as that's cheating, technically. The body, Dr. Manhattan can have multiple bodies, by the way, so these circles are just like, I was about to mention it, he can be like multiple people at once, but still kind of control them independently. It's pretty cool. But Dr. Manhattan here, his body is outside of the universe. No, his mind is outside of his body, but above the universe. Kind of think of it like an astral form, but it isn't an astral form. It's a bit more complicated. Now this kind of gives him, this is why he's got his kind of kinetic abilities. He can see time simultaneously. If he's focused on another object, he can see their timeline. That's kind of why. Now, this is where it gets a bit interesting, because some people will argue that Thanos' power dwarfs Dr. Manhattan's. I don't believe so. But for this case, let's just say it does. No matter what Thanos throws at Dr. Manhattan's body, it will be reconstructed because, well, his consciousness is outside of his body. You can't destroy somebody's body and then, if their consciousness lives on, kill them, especially with Dr. Manhattan. Also, one thing I want to point out as well is that Thanos' power, psychic power, will also not work outside of the universe. Why? Because the source of the psychic power is the Mind Stone, and the Mind Stone is stuck in this square. So if he was to try and kind of do like a mental attack on Dr. Manhattan is protected by the fact that his mind is outside of that universe. Therefore, no matter how many times Thanos throws stuff at Dr. Manhattan, Dr. Manhattan can also rebuild himself. We've also got the fact as well that Dr. Manhattan can manipulate all types of matter. The Infinity Gauntlet's made out of matter. You might not be able to destroy the Infinity Gems, but you can definitely kind of destroy the Infinity Gauntlet and keep the gems safe. So for that reason, I'm going to say that Dr. Manhattan wins the battle. Also for the fact that he has beaten the dimensional beings that are higher than him. Well, he hasn't beaten dimensional beings that are higher than him, but he has, however, been shown that dimensional beings have been like, well, no, this guy's the real deal. He is pretty powerful. Another thing I'd like to mention is, well, that's it pretty much. This is a conversation I had with my friend once, and she was like, well, no, Thanos wins. And I'm like, but actually, look at this here, Dr. Manhattan wins. I don't think he has a soul, so Thanos can't really control a soul if he doesn't really have one. I could be wrong. And then, yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you for watching the video. My next video will be on kind of giving you a kind of guide to the Marvel Universe. I'm going to give you how it started. I'm also going to tell you like how the Marvel Universe works. That's pretty important if we're going to be having more debates like this, because we need to understand that certain universes work differently. The DC Universe is very different from how the Marvel Universe works. I'll explain that to you, and then maybe you might even understand why in the MCU, when Hulk's like, time travel doesn't work that way, we'll understand why. In the Marvel Universe, time travel doesn't work that way, it doesn't work at all. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Please kind of put a like down there, or comment. If you believe anything I've said is wrong, let me know. And maybe at the end of the month I'll do a video if I've slipped up and made mistakes. I'll go over those mistakes. Okay, cool.